there's a lot of there's a lot of these coaches or trainers or whatever you want to call them out there that have not, whether they're great or not, they just do one thing. They have some videos you go through and it teaches you process, and it's great. Yeah. And then there's people that have like the whole ecosystem.
So not only do you teach people a very easy process, right, to be able to get out there and help, because that's what we're doing, is you've taught us to help small business owners. I feel like other groups or other things that are out there, they don't teach on that level, right? And nor do they have some of the proprietary softwares that you give to us that are to make things easier and faster at scale. So talk to us a little bit about the softwares that you give us.
Yeah. So again, I want to make sure it's clear. Like, I didn't build these personally.
Yeah.
I utilized, when I first got started, as I was talking to you guys, I utilized whatever I could find that I was smart enough to be able to operate, being highly untechnical. This started with, I needed to get some web properties up. And so I needed to find a drag and drop simple, a third grader could do it type of a system. So I found one, and after utilizing that for quite a long time, and having great success with it, so it's not a bad platform. I just found that there was ways to make it better, and I didn't have the influence, because they're $1 billion company, to request those types of changes. Or if I did, they weren't making the changes that would be really, really beneficial to our process.
Yeah.
And so there's a number of things. Number one, our call system, right? Mm-hmm. Our web drag and drop builder I just mentioned, right? Yeah. Some of our ways that we find our contacts and, generate some of these, I'm not going to call them leads, but contacts of people that, they might be that pool cleaner or that pool builder or that, whatever, right? So there's been a lot. There's been a lot of effort and energy and time. And these companies are now, even though we utilize these softwares to our internal groups, because it's proprietary. In theory, people could go out there and buy it on the open market, but that's not our focus. Our focus is building a product that's designed specifically around people that are untechnical, right? That need a very repeatable process that also has the necessary techniques and strategies that we've found over the last 14 years of doing this, and thousands and thousands of data points to go through and see what's working and what's not, to be what we need to be the most successful. And so with that, we've built a lot of custom stuff that we unlock for you guys. So that, our call system, one of the biggest fears that people have is, hey, I'm not good at sales. So you're either not good at sales in your mind, or you're not good at technology. Okay.
Yep.
And some of you might be not good at both, and some of you might be okay at both. Okay. But I had to build this training, as you know, with the lowest common denominator in mind. And so I forced myself to do a few different things. I took my daughter, who at the time was 6, I believe she was 5 or 6, and I made her go through the training. Now, she's smart as a whip, but she's still 6 years old.
Yeah.
Time. Okay. And she was able to follow these processes, even with being untechnical at her age or whatever. And she was able to, make it all the way through, but there was sticking points in the way we did it. So it was making those sticking points easier so that someone as young as 6, and I took my father, who at the time was like 72, 73, and he's might be worse than Jazzy when she was 6. He's really bad. I mean, he'll get a virus somehow on a computer. Like, I don't know how he clicks on everything he does, whatever. But so I put them through it. These two like worst case scenario technical type situations.
Yeah.
And we made refinements, and we continue to make refinements based off those types of people, so we can make sure we can serve this massive amount of people who might not have the confidence. So those were our stress tests. And then, like our call system, like in theory, you can do this with Google Voice, right? That's what I started with, which is free. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of the stuff you can do for free once you understand the techniques.
Yep.
But you can't scale. And so as we got bigger and bigger, and we took on more and more local clients, and I'm having to get these Google Voice numbers and things like that. It just wasn't feasible for scale. And it didn't have a lot of the things that we now use that are highly effective in closing business for people who can't sell.
Yeah.
And so every bit of our softwares that have been developed that we push into this training and allow people to get access to, they just have some really awesome proprietary things that were designed for that gamut of what's the lowest common denominator of what people will fail at. And it's sales and technology, that's what, and consistency. But
for me, it was technical. And I remember getting in there and having that fear just disappear when I was using that drag and drop builder just to put up these assets. And it was quite amazing, to tell you the truth. I was so excited. I remember the first time I actually published an asset and got it out there. I was like, holy shit.
Yep.
That was simple.
Yeah. It's crazy. Once you kind of go through that first time, it's almost like, I guess the best way to explain it is if you went out and built a house and you never learned to build a house, and you watch a YouTube video and someone shows you how to build a house and you do it, and then you just unlock this key of like, why didn't I do that long ago? I could have got my house for a fraction of the price if I just would have had enough confidence to go and try it and learn as I'm doing it. And so that mentality you have to have when you're working with people all over the world. We have people that are in, probably 80 different countries. Some people, English is their second language, so you have to have a refined product. And I think, being that we've been doing this longer than basically anyone out there, we've been able to do it not only in the training, but also in these softwares. And we're going to continue to do it. I'm building every day. I must have 15 developers working for me right now, just on one of the softwares. So it's a constant refinement, as it should be, as everything should be in business as entrepreneurs. But I know for a fact that it's something that is going to help you succeed faster than trying to go and piecemeal a freebie here or this there or whatever. Cause it's just, we've removed so many steps.
Yeah.
And I think people need to understand the difference between a pro and an amateur is this. I say this all the time. You remember high school basketball, kids would run all over the court, they're expending just massive amounts of energy. Well, you watch that pro, when they move to the pro level, they try to take as few steps as possible because they know their body only has so many steps left in it.
Yep.
So the less steps they can take, the less damage to their body, the longer they get to be masters of their craft, and the more money they get to ultimately earn. So removing steps in everything you do is the difference between amateur and pro.
Yeah.
And so we try to do that across everything.
That's so true. You're really good at explaining things and kind of breaking down. And one of the biggest fears, at least for me, was the technical side, right? And so, and some people, when it comes to the internet, they kind of get scared. So explain the internet to me in layman terms.
Layman terms? Yeah. Layman's terms. Okay. Yeah. So I've been thinking about this for a while, right? Cause I'm not explaining what I do the same as I did when I started based on all the knowledge I've gathered and where I'm at now. So just like I remove steps in processes, I try to remove words or explanations that are super, super wordy. And how do I move those down to be less words, same impact, right? So I was thinking about this the other day, and I can't stand Facebook. I'm banned constantly, by the way.
Yeah.
So whatever. But Facebook, you got Instagram, you got Google, you got Craigslist.
I see you getting banned everywhere.
Yeah, man, whatever. Okay, just say what I want. But you have all these different platforms, if you will. Okay. And I want everyone to just think about the internet in this capacity. Think about you're on Earth, right? And let's just say Facebook is the moon, right? And, Google's freaking the sun, whatever, okay? Every one of these different platforms is a different planet, okay? And what you'll start to notice on the internet is some people inhabit planets, just like probably real life. Some people have tons. They all flock to this one habitat. Let's just use Facebook as an example because they're one of the biggest. TikTok, another one, right? These are worlds, okay, that you're essentially going into. Okay. And you can go into these worlds and you can learn each and every one of these worlds in how to be a master of that world. Now, the more people who flock to a world, the more competition that world will have, but that more traffic that world will have too. So the more opportunity exists in that world. So we need to really think about the internet as this place where we're moving into other worlds, and it's our job to figure out how that world's economy, how its social structure, if you will, how it moves and it shakes. And they're not that hard. There's usually built on a few principles, and I teach a lot of this inside the training, but it's super important to think of the internet that way, because it's really not as daunting of a task when you're like, all right, so Google's a world where clearly a lot of people see a lot of value when they go and they dive into that world, right? So if you can derive a skill set that world finds to be very valuable, you will be paid like a boss, because there's not enough of you in that world. It's no different why in our world, if we have a shortage of doctors or heart surgeons, they'll continue to raise the wage, right? You see school teachers, and God bless them, but they're like, we'd only get paid this much. Well, there's tons of you guys. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of school teachers. There's plenty of people graduating college every year going into that. And the skill, although I find it highly important, there's just a lot of you that have learned that skill. So in that world of Earth, it's only going to make this much money in the way that you guys play it in like a public school system. That is a world of itself. And you've only leveled up to this area of that world. So start thinking of Google as Facebook, as Craigslist, as TikTok, as Instagram, as any of these different directories as their own individual planets. And all we're doing is taking a rocket ship there and going, wow, there's not that many heart surgeons in this world, or in our world, like lead generators that are paying attention to this world, so we can exploit it and enrich ourselves. So our job on the internet is to sit back and find the most advantageous worlds to play ball in, learn the techniques and the skills that are lacking in that world, and then bring them to the earthlings, which are the small business owners that don't know how to play in that world. That's how the internet works.
Love it. That's sick. All right. So let's talk a little bit about, so obviously, technical, we talked about that being something that kind of holds people back. And it's one of the things that held me back, is I thought I wasn't technical enough, but with your softwares and everything helped me overcome that. I think another thing was support that really got me over the ledge there. So I got in, I put up my first site, but then, you put up a site and then you don't start reaching out or start getting those leads out to people until you start getting into your group. Your group is amazing, right? The support that you receive in that group and that community is amazing. I want you to talk for a minute about the community.
It's a world. It's a world. No different than Facebook is a world. An internal group, wherever it exists, it's a world too. So there's communities on the internet, right? And they're all like, there always has been. AOL, back in the day, there was chat rooms, right? That was a world. You go into the freaking, single ready to mingle one, right? Like that's where you would go, or whatever, whichever world you dip into. So to me, I look at our community, our group, the way that we help support the students that are coming through and trying to understand the skill sets and what worlds they're going to work the best in and all that. It's looking at it no different. How do I create a society? How do I create, a community that is inclusive, that has immense value, that has the consistency, that has the group of people that all kind of there for the same reason, which is to better their position in this world. Right. And that knowing in the industry of local lead gen, there's so much opportunity because there's so many small businesses. Like the US alone, there's 42,000 zip codes alone. Well, in every zip code, there's 10,000 plus small businesses. And I know you don't think that because you can only think of plumber, roofer, electrician, whatever. But there's so many interesting industries that exist in every zip code. And so it really, the opportunity is endless. And the people in our community, in our world understand that. So it's a very helpful world. It's where people don't feel that if I give you some information that it's going to impact me. So I'm going to keep it to myself.
Yeah.
But that all starts with having a business model like we have that has not enough workers in it,
Yep.
not enough talent, not enough skills exist in the place we're playing ball at.
Yep.
So that means the opportunity is vast. And so we don't have to be scarce in our mindsets of sharing and helping and working with other people in our group. And so we've tried to, from the top down, create a culture that lends itself to assisting your brothers and sisters in the group, to making friendships that we've had people get married inside of our group. Like it's crazy, but it's because we designed the world, you know, speed of the boss, speed of the troops. Like we designed it in a certain way where we're constantly giving. You know, people joined my group 7 years ago and they never paid again. Right? Because that's the kind of world that I'm trying to teach you or teach the next person how to go out there and impart on the next person you guys work with the small business owner. Get this scarcity mindset out of our vocabulary, out of our minds, because it's destroying you. So top down, man, just, you know, we created that culture. I think it's the most valuable thing that we have, because the collective consciousness of 7,000 plus people all over the world with their own projects, their own customers, their own stories, their own techniques that we're able to interview and bring forward on these live streams and, you know, pull out of people. Dude, we're deriving knowledge from talented people all over the globe. And we're sharing it on a, you know, a bi-weekly basis, inside of our world, inside of our group, to our community. And that's really kept, you know, I think it's the reason why I haven't advertised in years. But people still continue to pour into our group and buy this training, even though they don't even know who the heck I am. You know, so
I know the community was a big thing for me. It allowed and opened me up to land my first customer in 3 weeks being in there, $1,000 a month coming in. So I know the community played a big role in that, and it still plays a big role now. It's like, if something happens online that I don't know about, something happens to one of my lead gens or customers or assets, I can reach out in there and immediately I have 7,000 people at the touch of my hand that I can communicate with that are doing the same thing. So community is a big player for me.
Community, yeah, of course it is. I mean, look, people join country clubs that don't golf. They pay all the bills. They go to these country clubs, but they're doing it because they're looking to be around like-minded people. They're doing it because they're looking to go a certain place in life, and the people that they need to be hanging out with happen to be hanging out at the country club because they can afford to be in that crew. I'm not a country club guy personally, as you can probably guess, but I understand the value of being around people that are already at the place that you want to be, or that they're en route on that freeway and they're going Mach 10 and you want to jump in that drift with them and get going with them. Because it's inspiring to see people that you join the same day as them, and now you can kind of clock yourself and be like, oh, Josh just landed a client at week 3 for 1,000. Dang it, I started the same day as him and I didn't get it, you know? So you start to have that healthy competitiveness that I think everyone needs to have as an entrepreneur to continue to propel forward. And so I think there's multi dimensions to why that group and that community is so valuable, and people don't ever want to leave it.
Dan, so, you know, there's 3 main things here that we were just touching base on. One's like the technical side of it, right? And then you have the whole support, like processes, that kind of stuff, right? That people worry about. And then there's sales, right? And so tell me a little bit about how somebody is going to do sales with this.
Yeah, that's a good question. And those are definitely the 3 that I kind of hear the most commonly, is that's where the fear really is set in, is like, is your product going to be any good? Like, are you for real? I'm like 14 years. Yeah, I got it. Or, you know, I'm bad at tech. Do you have a solution for that? Cause I'm going to fail there. Or a big one is I suck at sales.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like Tommy Boy, right? So knowing that, and listen, I have a sales background, I was trained in the automobile industry. So I learned at a pretty young age, and I practice every day for many, many years, the skill set of sales. So sales is like any other muscle in your body. You don't exercise it, it probably is kind of weak.
Yeah.
You start to exercise it, it gets stronger. And then you start to learn cheat codes, shortcuts, steroids. Right? You start to learn ways that it's going to work. That muscle is going to get bigger, faster, and it's going to get the results that you're really looking for and why you're trying to build it. The best way I can explain how we take our process and why I know we can take someone who sucks at sales and make them successful is because we use a technique called results in advance. And what results in advance really does is it takes out the hype, takes out the, I'm going to do this for you and I'm going to do that for you and I'm going to do this and everything's going to be great and you're going to get all this great stuff. And it's like, okay, you sound like a used car salesman. You know, it's going to be a great car. And then, you know, so results in advance, you guys, I'm sure everyone in the US knows Costco, and outside the US, they have different names, Price Club and Sam's Club. There's different ones, you know, but there's these big stores. Costco specifically is one that comes to mind. Yeah. Every time you go into a Costco, at least every time I go into Costco, it's the only reason I go, is you have a little old lady and she's sitting there and she's got her little frying pan out and she's making shrimp scampi, you know, or whatever, the newest thing that they're demoing in every aisle. So you walk through these aisles and what do? They want a sample. Heck yeah, I want a sample. That's why I came here. Yeah, I can have two because my wife's here, but she's really not, right? So you take the sample, you try the sample. That's the result of, if you buy this product, this is what the result of it will be. So if we look back at like the Yellow Pages analogy, right, where it's like, if you own that top spot and you had this phone line that you owned and controlled, that you could, you know, push to anyone you so choose, or you had a form that could send an email to anyone you so choose, and you were getting, like I said, maybe 40 a month, 100 a month, whatever it is, you can easily give out samples like the Costco lady. And what you'll do is you'll find these businesses. Let's just use our pool builder example, right? Or whatever. And you'll find these businesses and you'll sample them with potential customers who are in real time looking for what they sell and offer. So you put yourself, just switch shoes, right? Imagine yourself being a business owner like we are. Yep. And let's just say someone just started sending you people that wanted, you know, websites built or search engine optimization, whatever it is that you do. Yeah. And they said, listen, no, just try it. Yep. You don't have to buy it. It's a lot easier. I always tell people, like, look at all the billboards around town. Imagine the billboard salesperson calls up any small business owner and goes, hey, I'll give you a billboard free, but I'm going to put a tracking phone number on it. And every time it gets called, that's the only time we get paid. Well, any smart business owner would say, hell yeah, because there's equal risk now. Yep. It's not lopsided. The problem with marketing and advertising is it's a lopsided game. And if the person selling it is really slick and they find a business owner who's not, they're able to, with smoke and mirrors, kind of trick them into buying an inferior product because there's no checks and balances if this product's going to work or not. Yep. So it's a risk and it's highly lopsided in the favor of the billboard salesman. So I'm like, okay, that takes a high level salesperson that understands how to move and shake with words, right? And so how do I remove that? Because I'm going to have people that have no sales ability whatsoever because they've never worked that muscle. So if the Costco lady who's 80 years old can sell shrimp scampi like it's going out of style just by simply giving a sample to the prospective customer over and over. Now, listen, not every customer buys the shrimp scampi, right? Yeah. So it's another thing for people that have never been in sales, is like, you're not going to get 100% of shrimp scampi buyers, right? Yeah. You're going to sample some of these calls and leads out to these small business owners, and some are going to get it, and some are going to be as dumb as a box of rocks, and that's called life. Mm-hmm. Some people are breaking through to the next level, and a lot of people are still in the past. This is what you'll hear from the guy in the past. Hey, I don't do any of that internet stuff. All my business comes from word of mouth. Okay, cool, bro. You live in the past. You're just not the ideal client for what we're doing. We want people that are interested in the future. Yeah. They're looking to grow. So maybe that's the guy that's not going out of business right now because he's about to retire. But oftentimes people throw the baby out with the bathwater because they don't have the calluses that you derive when you exercise the muscle of sales. So your skin is not thick enough because you don't have the reps yet. But we're giving you a cheat code and a key by teaching you to generate a resource, which is the lead, the phone call. and give it away like the shrimp scampi lady at Costco, and let them try for a while and let them make some money from your resource that you've just given to them for free. And once you help a man make money, or a woman, once you help a business owner make money, your level, your stock just went up.
Yep.
Right? It just went up. And so for me, like a good poker player, because like I don't necessarily need the money, I always try to make the sales process as easy as possible for me, even though I'm a fantastic salesperson. And I do that by not letting them make money once or twice, but letting them make some money for, a few days. And I remind them, and I built things into our softwares that do the reminding to let them know that I'm watching. That's my phone call. That's all my processes, and that's all my assets. And I just want you to know that I'm glad that you just got another customer from me, and we'll talk on Friday after you get a couple more deals in your belt. Because at the end of the day, I need to become the bill that helps them pay all their bills. If I'm that to them, how often do you hear a business owner say, I shut off my phones? Never. Yeah. Why? Because the phone bill is a necessary bill. It's a bill that is something that helps them pay all their other bills because of what comes through that phone. So my process is exactly the same. I want to be that bill that helps them pay all their bills. So I try to give results in advance, samples for a long enough period of time, a week or two. And I want to let them know I'm seeing it and watching it. And I want them to earn at a minimum the amount that I'm going to ask them for in return for the continuation of my service. In the instance that they go, nah, I'm not in. That's okay. That's fine. Because we're picking industries that are evergreen, meaning they're going to last forever. Tree service is a good example. Trees aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be a guy or gal that's cutting trees down.
Yep.
So it's safe to say if I dominate the worlds right now that have all these people searching for tree service, that I have a fairly good chance at deriving business out of those worlds, right? Yep. So I just got to learn how to dominate those worlds. And then I need to find these business owners that are hungry, that are looking towards the future, and that want to grow their businesses. And there's millions upon millions upon millions all over the world, and it's going to grow and grow and grow because people are going to become, people will have to start working for themselves, because if businesses aren't hiring you, you're going to have to take life into your own hands.
Yeah.
And that might mean you're going to have to derive a new skill set that you can go and earn an income from. And I believe that this skill set specifically is one of the most lucrative ones out there that takes some of the least amount of startup money to get started. It's not like it's going to be, just a walk in the park. You got to have a couple bucks. Like, I tell people, like, listen, I know everyone's at different places in their income. It's like, get a couple bucks behind you, have a couple $1,000, and if you don't have that now, look, there's credit, there's different things, there's all that stuff. But, it's not like you're buying like or starting a limo franchise and you got to buy 5 limousines that are $100,000 a pop and you're $500,000 in and you haven't even turned $1 yet. Look, we're literally building digital assets for less than $100 really. And we're able to sometimes derive $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month by just sending all of those shrimp scampi samples to them, all those leads to them. So my risk versus reward, look, I own a lot of real estate, physical real estate.
Yeah.
I just bought a place for, I think 1.2, 1.3 million bucks. And I think I'll get, $8-9 a month in rent for that. Right. But that's a lot of money for only $8-9 a month when I can buy digital assets. And listen, people are going to bust my balls on this and be like, well, then why don't you just do that? No, there's diversification. I want to own skill sets in real estate, in commercial real estate, in digital real estate. Like, I'm not a one-trick pony, nor is any millionaire you'll ever meet. Is we're utilizing our resources, our assets, and our understanding and skills across multiple different sectors, which is why I can be successful in the PPE, the mask stuff, even though I wouldn't do it again. I could be successful in local lead gen. I could be successful in software. I can be successful in residential real estate, commercial real estate, industrial real estate, developing. I've done them all. Yeah. Right. And it's because you start stacking these skill sets and you don't look at only one lane, but you see that, look, you got to have multiple ways to earn a living because things stop. The yellow page salesman who was killing it at one point is out of work if he did not or she did not grow and evolve with the future of how things are moving.
Yeah.
They're dead.
Gone.
So that's, to me, sales is an easy one because there's no sale. We let the lead and the sale that happens for the small business owner, that does all our talking.
Yeah. Dude, value in advance, your training actually is what made me land that first client within 3 weeks of joining your program.
It's the best. It's risk reversal.
It's amazing. So
like Costco does it.
Anybody that's still on here, what do they need to do to get more information about this?
I imagine there's some sort of a link or something like around this video in some area. I'm sure you guys can find it. If you can't, it's probably not going to be the best thing for you because that's common sense. But I think all you got to do is all I ask is if you're going to jump on a phone call, we only do one, and I'm honest with that. We do keep track because we literally can't do when you start. When we ramped up, we're doing 80 calls a day. So if I had to do the same 80 calls today tomorrow. And usually our calls take about an hour because we want to show, we show them our platform and all the different stuff so that people have a really good understanding of like our university as it exists online that they're going to kind of go through and all the resources and stuff that we've built. So it takes a little bit of time. So I would just ask you if you show up, if you sign up to be on a call, understand, just have whoever you need to be there with you. If there's other people, your wife or your husband or whatever, don't sign up if you're not going to show up. Mm-hmm. And understand this, if there's a will, there's a way. I have full ride scholarships we give out every year for people in tough situations.
Yep.
Right. I have actually started a nonprofit with my wife when we had a really good year, and we funded it to be able to, in situations where people want to learn that don't have the means to be able to pay for this education, even though it's not highly expensive, but some people are just in really tough spots.
Yeah.
So we started some full ride scholarships we like to give out every month to bless people. We have some half rides, some quarter rides, and I know we're actually putting some new programs too, where people can join as groups or as singles or as doubles. This is kind of new stuff that we're just, kind of talking about for this new kind of move forward.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like I'm looking for people that are they want to move themselves forward, and they might not be at the best spot in life, but if they have a will, I know we can find a way.
Yep.
I know that I can find a way if they are serious. In fact, something we've just started to kind of put together, and I want to mention this, is we created a work study program. So for anyone that ends up joining and gets themselves in a tough situation, or they feel like they're like, I need to make more. Once you go through the training and learn some of the skills, give you a good example, just putting up one of these drag and drop websites. Like I said, my daughter did it at 6 years old, but I have tons of these things that need to be built.
Yep.
So I need workers, and we pay $20 an hour to get these things done. Takes about an hour to get one done. So we have a way for people to use our work study program and be a resource to our economy, which is pretty large. Like we literally have people all over the world that do this, and we have a whole outsource department too. So it's in my best interest to make sure you're successful, because you'll keep outsourcing. Some of you guys will keep outsourcing to us.
Yeah.
And it makes sense for us to have these mechanisms so that if there is a will, there is a way. And if someone feels like they can't afford it, trust me, I'll put you in work study. We'll figure it out, and you can learn, by doing for us.
Yep.
What I found is that people figure out, like, why the hell would I do this for?
Yeah. When I go make
because
my
I'm
own
doing
money.
it for another. I'm literally part of the outsource
Yep.
of these other students that are just like me. But we have an economy. We like to keep the money in the family. So I don't care where you're at in life. If you do have a will, we have a way. Just don't miss your call, or we will have to put you on the blacklist. I just don't care anymore. I'm not going to mess around, and it's not false scarcity. I really don't care. And if you're in a tough spot, there'll be a check mark you could say, and you can tell us a little bit more about that. And then, like I said, we have a couple full ride scholarships we give out every month, and we award people that are in those tough spots. Don't think that this is a lottery ticket either. So if you don't have a pot to piss in, and you don't have anything to your name, let us know that, so we don't waste an hour on the phone. We might need to get you over to the work study department, something like that. And obviously I can't just have 10,000 work study people come in.
Yeah.
So, I have to throttle it.
Yep.
But these things have all been thought through. These are the refinement processes that I've seen over the years of doing this.
Yep.
That has made this product better and better and better and better. And it's allowed people in all different areas of life. I mean, I have people living in their car that we've literally taken and been able to give work study to, and they're crushing it now, right? So, if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, absolutely. So there it is. Click the link below or above this video. And I just want to say, welcome back, Dan.